This can't be happening, Chidinma said, her voice filled with determination. We need to stop him. Hello everybody! Welcome to the third episode of this captivating African folktale story. Grab your popcorn, make yourself comfortable, and let's dive in. The ride begins. This is what happened so far. In the bustling city of Lagos, Chidinma's parents, Nana and Obinna, accidentally left her at school due to unforeseen work events. Chidinma experienced a series of strange and eerie events while alone at school. When her parents realized their mistake and returned to find her, they too encountered spooky occurrences and were not taken seriously by the authorities. Determined to uncover the truth, Chidinma and her friends Amina and Bayo discovered hidden clues about their school's dark past. They found an underground chamber with remnants of a horrific event that took place decades ago. With the help of their teacher, Mr. Ade, and Emeka, a former journalist, they gathered evidence and exposed a dark secret involving illegal experiments on children. However, they learned that the highest police authority in the city was involved in the cover-up, making their journey for justice far from over. As night fell, the trio gathered their supplies and made their way to the school. The atmosphere was eerie, with shadows dancing on the walls and a cold breeze blowing through the empty corridors. They sneaked past behind the night guard, hearts pounding, and entered the hidden passage leading to the underground chamber. In the dim light, Chidinma pointed to a hidden compartment behind an old bookshelf. "Look over here," she whispered. "It looks like a hidden compartment." With a bit of effort, they opened the compartment and discovered a box filled with old documents and photographs. Among the papers was a diary written by a student who attended the school decades ago. Amina's hands trembled as she held the diary. "This might have the answers we need," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. They huddled together, reading the diary by the light of their flashlights. The diary revealed horrifying details about the school's past. Children were used for illegal experiments by a corrupt organization. The experiments involved testing dangerous drugs and conducting psychological manipulations on the children. These experiments were part of a larger scheme to develop mind control techniques and other nefarious technologies. The victims were orphans and children from poor families who had no one to advocate for them. The organization was led by the highest police authority in the city, who covered up the crimes to protect their own interests. The members of the authorities who were involved profited financially and politically, gaining power and influence by keeping the secrets buried. Chidinma's eyes widened in shock. "We need to show this to Mr. Ade and Emeka," she said. "This is the evidence we've been looking for." The children rushed to Mr. Ade's house, showing him the diary. Mr. Ade was equally shocked by the revelations and agreed to help them expose the truth. "This is incredible," Mr. Ade said, his voice filled with awe. "We need to take this to Emeka. He'll know what to do." They contacted Emeka, who arranged a meeting with a trusted journalist willing to publish the story. The journalist, cautious but convinced by the evidence, agreed to help. "This is explosive," the journalist said, his voice filled with tension. "But we need to be careful. The people involved in this are powerful and dangerous." "We know," Emeka replied, his voice steady. "But we can't get them away with it." They planned to hold a press conference to expose the truth to the public. The children, Mr. Ade, Emeka, and the journalist worked tirelessly to gather more evidence and prepare for the event. The day of the press conference arrived, and the atmosphere was charged with tension and anticipation. The room was filled with journalists and members of the public, eager to hear what the young heroes had to say. Chidinma stood at the podium, her heart pounding. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We have gathered here to reveal the dark secret that has been hidden for too long." She recounted the events they had uncovered, from the strange occurrences at the school to the discovery of the underground chamber. As she spoke, Emeka and Mr. Ade presented the evidence they had gathered, including the diary and photographs. The room fell silent as the audience absorbed the shocking revelations. Finally, a journalist spoke up. "This is unbelievable," he said, his voice filled with shock. "How could something like this happen?" "It's been covered up for decades," Emeka replied. "But now the truth is out." The revelation sparked a public outcry, and an investigation was launched. The authorities responsible for the cover-up were held accountable, and the school was closed for a thorough investigation. Chidinma, Amina and Bayo were hailed as heroes for their bravery and determination. They received overwhelming support from their community, who were proud of their efforts to bring justice. Despite their success, Chidinma couldn't shake the feeling of unease. One day, as she was leaving school, she noticed the new janitor standing in the shadows, watching her with a menacing look. "I don't trust him," she said to Amina and Bayo as they walked home. "There's something off about him." "We need to be careful," Amina agreed, her voice filled with concern. "We need to find out what he's up to," Bayo added, his voice determined. The children decided to investigate the new janitor and uncover his connection to the school's dark past. They knew their journey was far from over and that they needed to stay united in their fight for justice. One night, Chidinma, Amina and Bayo followed the janitor after school. They watched as he entered the underground chamber, carrying a mysterious package. "We need to find out what he's doing," Chidinma whispered, her heart racing. They followed him into the chamber and hid behind a stack of old books. They watched as he opened the package, revealing a set of old documents and a strange device. "What is that?" Amina whispered, her voice filled with fear. "I don't know," Bayo replied, his eyes wide. "But we need to find out." They waited until the janitor left before stepping out of their hiding place. They examined the documents and discovered that they contained detailed plans for a new set of experiments. The janitor, whose name was revealed to be Mr. Okon, was not just an ordinary school employee. He was a former scientist who had worked with the original corrupt organization. He had been one of the key figures in conducting the illegal experiments on the children. After the organization was disbanded, Mr. Okon managed to evade arrest and continued to live a low-profile life. However, Mr. Okon had never given up on his twisted ambitions. He had been biding his time, waiting for an opportunity to resume his experiments. The documents they found detailed his plan to re-establish the network and continue the experiments, this time with more sophisticated techniques and a new group of unsuspecting children. Mr. Okon had been using his position as a janitor to gain access to the school's facilities and recruit new members for his cause. He had been targeting vulnerable children once again, planning to use them for his experiments. His goal was to develop mind control techniques that could be sold to powerful clients including corrupt officials and criminal organizations. "This can't be happening," Chidinma said, her voice filled with determination. "We need to stop him." They decided to confront Mr. Okon and put an end to his plans. Gathering their courage, they waited for him to return to the chamber. The janitor returned later that night. As he entered, the children stepped out of the shadows. "Stop right there," Chidinma said, her voice steady despite her fear. "We know what you're up to." The janitor turned, his face twisted in anger. "You don't know anything," he spat, his voice filled with malice. "We know enough," Amina replied, her voice unwavering. "And we are going to stop you." The janitor lunged at them, but Bayo was ready. He threw a punch, knocking the janitor to the ground. "You are not getting away with this," Chidinma said, her voice firm. They tied up the janitor and called the police. This time, the authorities took them seriously and arrested the janitor. With the janitor in custody, the children presented the new evidence to the authorities. The documents revealed the full extent of the corruption and cover-up, implicating several high-ranking officials. The public was outraged and a full investigation was launched. The officials involved were arrested and the school was permanently closed. Chidinma, Amina and Bayo were hailed as heroes once again. They had uncovered the truth and brought justice to the victims of the past. In the aftermath of the revelations, the community came together to support the children and their families. The story of their bravery spread throughout the city, inspiring others to stand up against corruption and injustice. Chidinma, Amina and Bayo continued their education at the new school, where they were welcomed with open arms. They made new friends, but never forgot the lessons they had learned. They remained vigilant, knowing that the fight for justice was never truly over. As they stood together, looking out over the city, they knew that they had made a difference. They had uncovered the truth and brought justice to those who had been wronged. And they knew that no matter what challenges they faced in the future, they would face them together, united in their fight for justice. Chidinma, Amina and Bayo had become symbols of courage and resilience. Their story was a testament to the power of truth and the importance of standing up against injustice, no matter how daunting the task might seem. Months later, Chidinma and her friends decided to visit the village where the revelation of the dark secret had begun. The experience they had here as children had changed their lives forever. As they walked through the village, memories of their past adventures flooded back. "This place feels so different now," Amina said, looking around. "But it also feels the same. Everything we went through started here," Bayo added. "It's strange to think about how much has changed since then." They visited the elders who had helped them perform the ritual to uncover the dark secrets. The elders welcomed them warmly, proud of the young heroes they had become. "You have done well," one of the elders said. "Your bravery has brought justice and peace to many. But remember, the fight against darkness is never over." Chidinma nodded. "We know, and we are ready for whatever comes next." Months passed, and life began to return to normal for Chidinma and her friends. However, the shadow of the past still lingered over them. They couldn't help but wonder about the deeper mysteries that lay beneath the surface. One evening, as they gathered at Chidinma's house, Amina brought up the topic that had been on all their minds. "Do you think we've uncovered everything?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. "I don't think so," Chidinma replied thoughtfully. "There are still so many unanswered questions. What exactly were they trying to achieve with those experiments? And who else was involved?" Bayo nodded in agreement. "We need to keep digging. There must be more to the story." They decided to continue their investigation, determined to uncover the full truth. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were ready for the challenge. As they delved deeper into the mystery, they discovered that the organization's reach extended far beyond their city. It was a global network with ties to powerful figures in various industries. The experiments at their school were just one small part of a much larger conspiracy. The climax of their investigation came one night when they discovered a hidden laboratory in an abandoned building on the outskirts of the city. Inside, they found evidence of ongoing experiments and plans for even more sinister activities. As they gathered the evidence, they heard footsteps approaching. The children hid, their hearts pounding in their chests. A group of men entered the laboratory, discussing their plans in hushed tones. "We need to move quickly," one of the men said. "The authorities are closing in, and we can't afford to leave any traces behind." Chidinma's heart raced as she recognized the voice. It was the police chief, the same man who had covered up the experiments at their school. "We have to stop them," she whispered to her friends. They waited until the men left before making their move. They gathered as much evidence as they could and contacted Emeka, who arranged for a team of journalists to meet them at the laboratory. The journalists were stunned by what they found. The evidence was overwhelming, and they knew it would be impossible for the authorities to ignore. The story broke the next day, causing a massive public outcry. The authorities had no choice but to act. The police chief and his associates were arrested, and the full extent of the conspiracy was finally revealed. Chidinma, Amina and Bayo were hailed as heroes once again. Their determination and bravery had brought down a powerful network of corruption and saved countless lives. As they looked ahead, they knew that their journey was far from over. There were still many battles to be fought and many truths to be uncovered, but they were ready for whatever came next, confident in their ability to make a difference. And so, the mystery of the school was finally revealed, but the fight for justice continued. The children knew that they had a long road ahead, but they were ready for the challenge. They had each other, and together they could overcome anything. Years later, Chidinma, Amina and Bayo remained close friends, their bond strengthened by the challenges they had faced together. They had grown into strong, confident adults who continued their fight for justice in their own ways. Chidinma became a lawyer, dedicated to defending the rights of the oppressed. Amina pursued a career in journalism, determined to uncover the truth and bring it to light. Bayo became a social worker, helping vulnerable children and ensuring they received the care and protection they deserved. Their story inspired countless others to stand up against corruption and injustice. They had created a legacy of courage and resilience that would continue to impact their community for generations to come. As they gathered together one evening, reminiscing about their childhood adventures, Chidinma looked around at her friends and smiled. "We did it," she said. "We made a difference, and we'll keep making a difference. Together." Bayo raised his glass. "To justice," he said, "and to friendship." "To justice and friendship," Chidina and Amina echoed, clicking their glasses together. And so their story continued, a testament to the power of truth, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. Chidinma and her friends visited the village where the revelation of the dark secret had begun. The experience they had here as children changed their lives forever. Have you ever experienced a situation in which dark forces were at play? Does this story inspire you to make a difference in your life? Let me know in the comments what good things you took away from it. Your voice matters, and together we can make a difference. Thank you for watching the story. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And hit the bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming stories. See you in the next story. Bye bye.